Lisa walks into a dealership on a Saturday morning. She's been thinking about this for 6 months. Her 2019 Civic is fine mechanically, but she wants something bigger, more space in the back, a nicer interior, something that doesn't make her feel like she's still driving the car she bought when she was 24. She test drives a brand new 2026 Honda CR-V, and 90 minutes later she drives it off the lot. $48,000. She puts $5,000 down and finances the rest over 6 years. The salesman shakes her hand, gives her a keychain with the dealership logo, and tells her she made a great decision. She takes a photo in the parking lot and posts it before she even adjusts the mirrors. Mike looks at his 2016 Honda Accord sitting in the driveway. 10 years old, 112,000 miles. A scratch on the rear bumper he got backing into a shopping cart 2 years ago. The check engine light came on last month but turned off by itself 2 days later. The air conditioning takes about 5 minutes to get cold in the summer, and the driver's side window makes a grinding noise when it goes down. There's a rattle somewhere behind the dashboard that only shows up on the highway above 65. He thinks about buying something newer. Then he checks his bank account, looks at what cars cost in 2026, and decides to keep it. There's no photo opportunity in keeping the car you already have. They both earn $62,000 a year. Same city, same 20-minute commute, same financial starting point. They went to the same college, work in similar jobs, and have roughly the same monthly expenses outside of their cars. The only difference is what they do about the car in their driveway. And that one difference, over the next 10 years, will create a gap between their net worth so large that it would take Lisa more than a decade of extra savings to close it. Lisa's monthly car payment is $719. That's $43,000 financed at 6.5% over 72 months. Before she drives a single mile, she's committed to paying the bank $51,768 for a car that cost $48,000. That extra $3,700 is pure interest. It doesn't buy her a single feature, a single mile, or a single ounce of safety. It doesn't improve the sound system or extend the warranty by a single day. It buys the bank a vacation. But the car payment is only the beginning. She also needs full coverage insurance because the lender requires it. Comprehensive plus collision on a brand new CR-V runs about $210 a month in 2026. That's $2,500 a year just to protect an asset that loses value every single day she owns it. Fuel costs about $160 a month. She drives 12,000 miles a year. The CR-V gets 32 miles per gallon, and gas averages $3.40 in her area. Registration on a new car is higher than people expect. About $40 a month when you average in the first-year fees and annual renewals. Lisa's total monthly cost to own and operate this car, $1,129. That's $13,548 a year, before maintenance, before a single oil change, before the first set of wiper blades. Mike's car is paid off. He owes nothing on it. $0 a month to the bank. His insurance is liability plus basic comprehensive. No collision required because no lender is making him carry it. $120 a month. Fuel is a little higher because the older engine is less efficient. The 2016 Accord gets about 28 miles per gallon compared to the CR-V's 32. That works out to about $175 a month on the same 12,000 miles. Registration on a 10-year-old car is cheaper, about $20 a month. Mike's total monthly cost, $315. That's $3,780 a year. On day one, Lisa is spending $814 more per month than Mike. That's $9,768 a year in extra costs, and that gap doesn't include a single repair on either car. Not one. Not an oil change. Not a set of brake pads. Just the base cost of ownership. Lisa's friends compliment the new car. The backup camera has guidelines that turn with the steering wheel. The seats warm themselves on cold mornings. Mike's friends don't say anything about his car because there's nothing to say. It's a 10-year-old Accord with cloth seats and a phone mount stuck to the windshield. Nobody is impressed. But here's the thing about money. It doesn't care who's impressed. It doesn't care about leather seats or ambient lighting. It only cares about where it goes and how long it stays there. Let's talk about what actually breaks down on a 10-year-old car, because this is where people get scared. They imagine the engine exploding on the highway at 70 miles an hour. They picture a $5,000 transmission rebuild landing on a random Tuesday when rent is due. They see themselves stranded in a parking lot at 11 at night waiting for a tow truck in the rain. And sometimes that happens. But the fear of a catastrophic repair is almost always worse than the reality. So let's look at what the data actually says. According to Consumer Affairs and AAA, the average annual maintenance and repair cost for a car on the road in 2026 is about $900. But that's the average across all ages. It includes 3-year-old cars that need nothing but oil changes and 20-year-old cars that need everything. A 10-year-old car with over 100,000 miles costs more. The realistic range for a well-maintained Honda with that mileage is $1,500 to $2,500 per year, depending on what decides to break and when. Over the next 10 years, Mike's Accord will need specific things at specific times. Let's walk through all of them because the details matter. Brake pads and rotors. He'll replace them twice over the decade, once around year 2 and again around year 7. Total cost, about $1,100. A timing chain service around 120,000 miles. About $800, and this one is non-negotiable because skipping it risks catastrophic engine damage. An AC compressor that dies in year 4 during the hottest week of the summer. $1,200 including labor, refrigerant, and the condenser. Suspension work. Struts, shocks, and control arm bushings around year 6 for about $1,000. This is the repair that makes the car feel new again, because suddenly it stops rattling over every bump. A transmission fluid service plus oxygen sensors and a camshaft position sensor. Another $800 total, spread across years 5 and 8. Tires replaced twice, once around year 3 and again around year 7. About $1,600 total for mid-range all seasons. An alternator in year 8 for $500. A water pump in year 9 for $450. And then the random stuff that nobody can predict. A window regulator that stops working on the passenger side. A starter motor that clicks instead of turning on a Monday morning when you're already late. A catalytic converter that triggers an emissions code right before inspection. A radiator hose that cracks and leaves a puddle of green fluid in the driveway. Call it another $2,500 in miscellaneous repairs scattered across the decade. Add it all up. Mike's total repair and maintenance bill over 10 years is roughly $11,500. That's $1,150 per year, or about $96 per month added to his base costs. Mike's real monthly total, including insurance, fuel, registration, and every repair, is about $411. Still less than half of what Lisa pays every single month. Now here's the part that changes everything. Mike takes the difference between what he spends and what Lisa spends. That's roughly $800 a month after accounting for his higher repair costs, and he puts it into a total stock market index fund. He picks a low-cost Vanguard fund with an expense ratio of 3 basis points. He sets up an automatic transfer on the first of every month. He doesn't check the balance. He doesn't watch financial news. He doesn't try to time the market or wait for a dip. He just lets the transfer happen and goes about his day. At a historical average annual return of 10%, which is the S&P 500 average over the last 50 years including reinvested dividends and before inflation adjustment, here's what happens to Mike's money. After year one, Mike has invested about $9,600. With market returns, his portfolio is worth about $10,100. That's $500 in free money. Not life-changing, not even impressive, but he hasn't done anything remarkable. He just didn't buy a car. After year three, he's invested about $28,800. His portfolio with compound growth is sitting at roughly $33,000. The Accord has 142,000 miles now. The paint is fading on the hood where the clear coat is peeling. There's a small tear forming in the driver's seat fabric. But inside his brokerage account, his money is quietly earning money on its own. The gains from year one are now generating their own gains. The compound curve is still shallow at this point, but it's bending upward and it's not going to stop. After year five, things start to accelerate. Mike has invested about $48,000 total, but his portfolio isn't $48,000. It's roughly $58,000. The compound growth has added over $10,000 that Mike didn't earn, didn't work for, and didn't even notice happening. That $10,000 showed up while he was sleeping, while he was sitting in traffic, while he was at the mechanic waiting for an oil change. Meanwhile, Lisa still has 12 more months of payments left on her loan, and her $48,000 car is now worth about $20,000 on the private market. Maybe $17,000 if she trades it in. Lisa's car has lost $28,000 in value in 5 years. 58% of its original price gone, not stolen, not crashed, just gone. Depreciation took it the same way it takes every new car, quietly and permanently. Mike's investments have gained $10,000. That's a $38,000 swing between them, and Lisa still owes money on the loan. She's underwater on the math, even though the car runs perfectly and still looks good in the driveway. Year 6 is when Lisa finally makes her last car payment. After 72 months of writing checks, she owns the car outright. She's paid $56,768 total. The $5,000 down payment plus $51,768 in monthly payments that included $3,700 in pure interest. For a car that is now worth roughly $17,000 on a good day. Her sunk cost at the 6-year mark, meaning money spent that she will never get back, is about $39,700. Nearly $40,000 transferred from Lisa's future to the bank, the insurance company, and the slow, invisible force of depreciation. Mike, at year 6, has invested $57,600. His portfolio with 6 years of compound returns is sitting at roughly $74,000. He's still driving the Accord, 16 years old, 170,000 miles. The transmission shifts rough on cold mornings but works fine once it warms up. The Bluetooth disconnects during phone calls about 30% of the time, but it starts every morning and gets him to work. Now here's the part most car comparison videos skip entirely. Year 7 and beyond. This is where the narrative gets complicated for both of them. Lisa now owns a 6-year-old car with no payment. Her monthly costs drop significantly. No more $719 check to the bank, but her maintenance costs are climbing because a 6 to 10-year-old car needs more attention than a new one. Brake pads again, a new set of tires, a battery replacement in year 8, maybe a water pump or a serpentine belt. Her repair costs in years 7 through 10 run about $1,000 to $1,500 a year. Her insurance drops somewhat because she's no longer required to carry full coverage, but she keeps collision because the car is still worth $12,000 to $15,000. Her monthly cost drops to roughly $550, a big improvement over the loan years, but still not cheap. Mike's car is now 16 to 20 years old. This is where people assume the entire math falls apart. They say at some point you're just throwing money into a hole, and that's partly true. The probability of a major repair goes up every year past 150,000 miles. His maintenance costs in years 7 through 10 are higher, about $2,000 to $2,500 per year. In year 8, he puts in $2,200 all at once to replace the alternator, the water pump, do a major brake job with new rotors, and fix a leaking valve cover gasket. It's a painful month. He briefly considers whether it's time to buy something newer. His wife asks him how much longer he's going to drive that thing. But he runs the numbers. The car is worth maybe $1,500. The repair costs $2,200. If he buys a new car, he's looking at a $500 monthly payment minimum, plus higher insurance, plus immediate depreciation the moment he drives it off the lot. The $2,200 repair buys him roughly 2 more years of reliable driving. A new car payment would cost him $6,000 in the same period. He fixes the car. Even with those higher repair costs in the later years, Mike's monthly total in years 7 through 10 averages about $530, almost identical to what Lisa pays on her now-aging CR-V. The difference is that Mike has been investing the gap for 6 straight years, and compound growth is now doing the heavy lifting. His portfolio is generating more in monthly returns than he's adding in new contributions. The money is making money faster than he can earn it at his job. By year 10, here's the final scorecard. Mike's total spending on his car over 10 years, including insurance, fuel, registration, and every single repair, including the painful ones, comes to roughly $48,600. His investment portfolio, built entirely from the money he didn't spend on a new car, is worth approximately $138,000. His car is worth essentially nothing. Maybe $1,000 trade-in. His net position, he spent $48,600, but he has $138,000 in liquid investments. Net gain, $89,400. Lisa's total spending over 10 years, including the $5,000 down payment, 72 monthly loan payments, 10 years of insurance, fuel, registration, and maintenance, comes to roughly $82,000. Her car is now worth about $8,000 on the private market. Net loss, $74,000. The gap between them is $163,000, and it all started with one decision on one Saturday morning. Now, if I stopped here, I'd be doing exactly what every keep-your-old-car influencer does, showing you only the math that supports one side. So let's be honest about what this comparison leaves out. Safety. A 2026 CR-V has automatic emergency braking, lane departure warning, blind spot monitoring, adaptive cruise control, and a crash structure designed to current federal standards. A 2016 Accord has none of those active safety features. If Mike gets into a serious accident, a T-bone at an intersection, a highway collision, a pedestrian situation, the outcome could be materially different. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration estimates that modern active safety features prevent roughly 6% of all crashes. You cannot put a dollar value on not being in a wheelchair, and this video won't try. Reliability stress. Mike's car will leave him stranded at least once over 10 years, probably twice. That means a tow truck, a rental car for 3 days, a missed meeting, and the slow grinding anxiety of wondering whether the car will start tomorrow morning every time the temperature drops below freezing or every time it makes a new noise. Lisa never thinks about this. Not once in 10 years. She turns the key and the car starts. Every single time. There is a real psychological cost to uncertainty that doesn't show up on any spreadsheet. Opportunity cost of time. Mike spends more hours at mechanics' shops, more time researching parts on forums at midnight, more mental energy tracking what might break next. If his time is worth $50 an hour and he spends 50 extra hours over 10 years dealing with car problems, that's $2,500 in invisible costs. Comfort. Lisa drives a quiet, smooth, modern car with heated seats and a ride that absorbs potholes for 10 years. That's roughly 5,000 hours behind the wheel. Mike drives a car with road noise that gets louder every year and a dashboard that creaks on cold mornings. Comfort doesn't compound like money, but 10 years is a long time to be uncomfortable on your daily commute. And the biggest assumption in this entire analysis, that Mike actually invests the difference every single month for 120 consecutive months. The data says most people don't. A study from the Federal Reserve shows that only 39% of Americans could cover a $400 emergency from savings. These are not people putting $800 a month into index funds. Most people save on the car payment and spend it somewhere else. A nicer apartment, more dinners out, a vacation they wouldn't have taken. If Mike doesn't invest the difference, he just drove a worse car for a decade and has nothing to show for it. The math is clear. On pure numbers, keeping the old car and investing the difference builds dramatically more wealth. $163,000 more in this scenario. That's a down payment on a house. That's 4 years of college tuition. That's the difference between retiring at 62 and retiring at 57. But money is only one variable in a life. Safety, time, stress, comfort, and peace of mind are the others. Every person weights those differently. Here's what I'd suggest. Don't use this video to decide whether to keep your car or buy new. Use it to see the real cost of both options. The full cost, not the monthly payment the dealer shows you, not the sticker price on the windshield, not the mechanic's estimate for the next repair. The full, 10-year, everything included number. Because the number that includes everything is the only number that matters.